Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. Host Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from this morning, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We got Marcus Myers going to join us a little bit. And then about 9 o'clock, we'll have Craig Way joining us as well. And speaking of Craig, guys, I think it's fitting that we open the show with his basketball call here, along with a little visual aid to go with it.
Tremont Mark, 10 to shoot, driving baseline, works it back around into the corner, 6 to shoot in the corner. Cam Heide at 3. Good! It's good! 14 seconds to go. Texas up 4. Into the front court. St. Superi launches a long 3. Short, off the rim. Rebound, Texas. It's going to happen, folks. It is going to happen. Modest Fokatitis lays it in. That'll do it. An 11 seed has crashed the Sweet 16 party. It's the Texas Longhorns. Final score, Texas 74, Gonzaga 68, San Jose, the next stop on this Longhorn postseason saga.
Love it. Good job, Craig Way. Good job, Craig Way. And Blake, that obviously, that video coming from from University of Texas basketball group. Their social media team is killing it right now. The call coming from Texas Longhorn Radio Network. I mean, just good stuff happening on the 40 acres and around the world up in Portland this weekend. I want to mention this. Texas women also win this weekend. Maddie Booker scores 40 yesterday, Jerry. She's no slouch. She's not going to be outdone as Vic Schaefer and his women advance to the Sweet 16. Maddie doing a tremendous thing. Rory Harmon had a great send-off last night, yesterday afternoon as well. Her final game in Moody, too. But, Jerry, back to that basketball game. That's what a lot of Longhorn fans want to talk about. What did you see that made you kind of smile, at least, when Coach Sean Miller yet again had another play drawn up where a shooter was on the court and he drained it?
Yeah, look, that last play is where experience matters in a game that is individually still dominated by young basketball players. You look at the best players in the country, it's DeBansta, it's Acuff, it's Boozer, keep going down that list. But experience matters a lot in this tournament, and you have to have enough of it, and you have to have a coach with it as well. Just think about that last play. They're in the huddle. And Sean Miller's been to now 9 Sweet 16s and 14 tournament appearances. He is 9-1 in round of 32 games. Best record since the tournament expanded in 75. Anybody that's coached 10 games, best record. He lost his first one. He's won 9 straight. So what am I getting to in the huddle? He has to make a quick decision. And that quick decision, and you knew Mark was going to have the ball in hand because he's made those shots recently, or maybe they had something for Dalen Swain on a penetration kick type of scenario. But if they thought they had a matchup for Mark, they were going to go that way first because he's made a lot of big shots recently, and he's done it 5 times in his career. But just so think about this. Sean Miller puts Cam Heide in. Hadn't been in it since the 17:42 mark. Had taken 1 field goal in the game. Hadn't shot a basketball since they came out for halftime. So that's about 35, 40 minutes of time, maybe a little bit more since he had actually shot a basketball. So Sean Miller puts him into the game. Then the play, the ball's in the hand of Tremont Mark, who played in the Final Four way back against U of A when he was at U of H against Baylor. I mean, he played in the Final Four. And he instead of forcing a tough shot, which he's made some, he made the correct basketball play. When Cam Heide's guy took a step and a half towards Mark, he made the veteran play, not force tougher shot, kick to the corner to, oh, by the way, a guy that's played in the Final Four in a national championship and made the same damn shot against U of H last year, late in the game, the tied at 60. That is NCAA tournament experience to a T, just that play, if you take away nothing else from the game. But Texas played extremely, extremely well in that game. I mean, look, Gonzaga's not a ball pressure defensive team. So everybody said, well, Texas only had 5 turnovers. Well, they weren't really – that's not the type of defensive team Gonzaga is. But what Texas did in that game that was so important, they cut out unforced turnovers. They had 8, 9 unforced turnovers against NC State. And those are the ones that kill the coaches, right? I mean, and really hurt your team because oftentimes those end up in runouts. But Texas played under control. People look at, well, why is Dalen Swain not scoring as much right now? Is he being too passive? No, that guy played a tremendous basketball game against Gonzaga. I mean, if he had forced bad shots, they would have lost that game. He played a smart basketball game. Matas continues to play really well. Jordan Pope, big shot down the stretch of that game. Texas played really well. And here's the thing. The farther you advance in this tournament, then you have to go play your best game of the season. Texas will have to play their best game of the season Thursday night. I think Purdue's a 7.5-point favorite at open 8.5. Look, Purdue's a better team than Gonzaga. They're a better team than BYU. But the key to the tournament is Purdue's got to be a better team Thursday. If they've been the best team, a better team than Texas all year, and they're not Thursday, then Texas will win the game if Texas plays well enough. So Texas isn't going to be favored. They weren't going to be favored in any of these games after the first four. They were always going to be the underdog, as the NCAA tournament loves to have one, even though a Sean Miller coach team's never really an underdog, if you ask me. But you're up against the best team you played in the tournament. But that team better be better than you on Thursday. They can't have been better all season and then not be better than Texas Thursday. But you want Purdue to play well, and you want to earn it. You don't want anything given to you at this time, and I don't think it'll happen for a Matt Painter coach team. They're too good on offense. This is two really good offensive teams and two subpar defensive team by the analytics, by the numbers. So we'll see what happens Thursday, but there's some part of these game, the matchups I like, and there's a couple that could give Texas real issues, but that's the same with any basketball game.
All right, let's see here. We're going to bring Marcus in just a moment. But first, Bobby, I'm going to let you go ahead and tell everyone about John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group.
Yeah, absolutely. John Donovan, president, Longhorn Wealth Management. John's a proud Texas Ex's Life member who truly bleeds burnt orange. His wife and 6 siblings are all UT grads as well, so it was his family passion for UT that led John to brand his firm, Longhorn Wealth Management Group, dedicating it to providing investment, retirement, insurance, and estate planning services to Longhorn families and friends across the nation for more than 30 years. John's thrilled to celebrate the big wins by the men's and women's basketball team as they each earned their way into the Sweet 16. Plus, we have the football team getting back into action this week after spring break with a confidence boost of knowing All-American offensive guard Lawrence Seymour has been cleared to join the team. So to celebrate all of this exciting news for the Longhorns, John's offering all OTF fans a free private consultation via Zoom, phone, or in person to allow John to help you explore how working with a certified financial planner can enable you to maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and ensure your legacy. To schedule your own free private consultation, just call Longhorn Wealth Team 972-707-4900 or schedule online www.longhornwealth.net. John and the rest of the Longhorn 100 winning team at Longhorn Wealth Management sends a huge hook-em to all the OTF family.
All right, well, before I bring on Marcus, I want to play this quick clip here from Coach Vic Schaefer after the women beat Oregon yesterday.
Pretty special group of kids here, pretty special team. Y'all need to come to Fort Worth with us. Really appreciate you all. This place is unbelievable. It's a pretty tough day. For 5 years, I've come to the office, and every day I've seen Rory Harmon. And today, what you did, being here, this atmosphere for these kids, but especially that one, man, that'll be a day for her to remember for the rest of her life.
I just wanted to say I have no words, honestly. You guys have showed up ever since we played at the Irwin Center my first year. We had like 2,000 people coming, and thanks to those 2,000 people that came, you guys showed up tonight, I'm pretty sure. But now we're at like a full house, and you're supporting a winning team, and I hope to see y'all in Fort Worth. Thank you so much. Hook 'em.
Good stuff, Blake. Good stuff. As he mentioned, fifth-year senior, leading the Horns right now into the Sweet 16. They dominated Oregon yesterday. They did Missouri State, same thing. We also have Pro Day coming up tomorrow as well. Let's bring in Marcus Myers now. Talk a little bit about that. How you doing, Marcus?
I'm doing well, fellas. How are y'all?
I got to ask you, can you handle this much winning?
Oh yeah, yeah. This
It's
feels.
there's just so much winning everywhere, right?
Yeah, this feels like what I was used to on campus, man. I was thinking about this right here. Yeah, both teams in the Sweet 16. Baseball having that big series. I think I even saw you this morning put up on the site, Bobby, about swimming finishing third. So I mean, it's a great time. I think softball is up to maybe like 25 or 26 wins in a row.
26.
So campus is on fire, man. And like I said, I love it because it's what it was like when I was on campus. Kind of 03, 04, 05 time frame. This is what we were kind of accustomed to, and this was when we talked about the standard being the standard. That was exactly what it was.
And you know what makes weekends like that better? A&M losing by 31 to Houston in the round of 32,
yeah.
And Texas Tech annihilated. Texas Tech got annihilated by Alabama in the round of 32. Even though JT Toppin was a bad injury for Tech, they still got annihilated because Bama was without their best dealer of the basketball, Aiden Holloway. So they still got blown out.
I was going to say Tech and A&M lost in the round of 32 by a combined 56 points.
Yeah.
Tech women really went out strong. I think they lost by 50 to LSU. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, the Texas Tech and A&M did not avail themselves very well in the NCAA tournament in basketball. And so the best Texas A&M basketball team, who hung a banner for finishing fourth in the SEC this year, apparently, goes out in the round of 32. And the Texas team that is, Sean Miller's first as a Longhorn ends up in the round of 32. It only can happen to the best of teams, right? Or in the best of fellas. Hey, Marcus, pro day tomorrow. I mentioned you talk about this. It's a big day for all Longhorns, for all the Longhorn football players, right? That we all know that. I mean, this is every single thing they do is being scrutinized and looked at. But there's one guy in particular I wrote about this morning that I wanted you to talk about maybe and what you expect. And that's Ethan Burke. As we all know, he didn't get an invite to the combine, kind of I don't want to say he was forgotten about or, stiffed or whatever you want to call it, but this has to be his time, right? Can you recall another player at Texas that was somewhat similarly situated, wasn't invited to the combine, but his pro day was going to matter? I immediately think of a guy like Marcus Wilkins.
That's where I was going to go, because that's the one that came to me quickest, just because he's, from the area, and a guy that I got to watch when I was coming up. And he made an extensive career, just being on special teams. I think he started out with the Packers and maybe jumped around a little bit, but that's where I was thinking exactly, Bobby, was Marcus Wilkins, because with a number of guys, right, like for whatever reason, you never know what goes into why someone does or doesn't, earn a combine invite. It would be hard for me to imagine that, when teams get a chance to see Burke up close and personal, that they won't, kind of change their thought process. And honestly, sometimes it even works out a little bit better in that, for the teams, they think they can get more of a steal if fewer people are able to see him. But I imagine there'll be a great turnout in terms of it really always is, but especially at this time of year, and how the teams have been playing the last several years. There should be a really good turnout at pro day from a head coach, a offensive, defensive coordinator, and even GM standpoint. That was something that was always huge for us when we were playing and things were really humming, is you would always have guys come out. And yes, they're going to come to see, any number of players up close and personal, as well as some of the guys that, are underclassmen and will have an opportunity to play or come out next year. They know a lot of those guys are just going to be standing around and, cheering on some of their teammates. And so I think it'll be a great opportunity. But to your point, I think Ethan Burke is primed to be able to go out there and perform and just show what he was able to do, translates in any number of facets, and that any NFL team will be lucky to have him. So I hope he has a great performance tomorrow, along with the rest of the guys that are going to end up working out.
Hey, Rod and I talked about it last night and about Ethan Burke tomorrow. And I think the thing that I'm looking for, I think maybe the biggest things for him are going to be, as crazy as it sounds, his bench press numbers, and then his L cone in his 5.10.5. I think those are the three testing numbers that I think are going to be really big for him from that standpoint. Because, Ethan Burke has the length, right? He plays physical. He doesn't necessarily look strong, though, when you see him. And I think in person, I think they want to see that strength for him. And then I think his testing numbers, his short shuttle, his L cone, I think those are going to be huge. Maybe even a broad jump for him to see how much more explosiveness he might have in that frame. But I think those are going to be huge events for him, because I think just my point of view, just my opinion, I think that's what these guys are kind of waiting to see. They know he plays hard. They know he plays with a good motor. They know he's made impactful plays in the football game. And look, he did it in the SEC. I think he's been a little underrated because of that part. But I think that's kind of what these scouts are going to be watching for, guys, and really those testing numbers and how strong is he entering the NFL, because he's got really long arms. It takes a long time.
Just bad. I think somebody mentioned the term robbed. I think he was robbed by not being invited. I think Mike Elko probably agrees. Marcel Reed might agree. A couple of those guys might agree that he was robbed. But Marcus, the idea of getting ready for the combine, it is a little bit different than it was even in your day. I mean, it's much more. I mean, you were 20 years ago, but it's even surpassed that. What these guys are doing behind the scenes, from not just working out, but from nutrition, helping their bodies. I mean, they're in these plunge pools now, trying to regenerate muscles and all this other stuff. Like, how I want to try to give people an understanding of how overwhelming and all-encompassing getting ready for the combine really is for these young men, because it takes over your life, right? I mean, getting ready for this.
Yeah, I would say you think of it as the biggest exam of your life, right? Whether, you're an attorney sitting for the LSAT or any number of like large defining moments, regardless of everything that you've done, all the tape that's been out there. I do want to say, I think that is going to be the ultimate advantage that Burke is going to have, is that he has great film and guys understand what playing in the SEC and doing that is like. And at the end of the day, somebody's going to get a really good ball player, regardless of the numbers that he puts up. I think the numbers can just help him potentially move higher, but wherever he lands, someone's going to get a great ball player. I think, though, when you talk about the preparation that's required, like every 10th of a second, especially for the guys that didn't go to the combine, a lot of guys are going to stand on, the times that they ran, right? If they're happy with how they already ran and some of those short shuttles and things like that, then, sure, you might do something, again, but more times than not, they're going to stand. So those guys that didn't get a chance to go are trying to fine tune and tweak every little thing. To your point, Bobby, a lot of them are, going out to these big facilities these days that have kind of an all encompassing training environment where they'll have medical, attention up until, the time that they actually go and perform in these pro days. And so I think, it's one of those deals where it's extremely nerve wracking. I even remember, during my time, and granted, I was kind of still coming off of and ultimately getting injured again during my pro day, but it was one of those deals where you wanted to, really put your best foot forward and have an opportunity for someone to just, take a chance on you. And so I think it's one of those deals where, yeah, NIL may have changed some things, but when you get into this type of environment, those coaches don't care about that. All they want to do is see that you can go out there and compete, that you're coachable, and that, to whatever extent you're still a ball of clay, it's one that they can mold for whatever program they're trying to put forward.
Guys, this is a couple other interesting things tomorrow. I know Ethan Burke is what's on Texas fans' mind. Maybe even Jalen Gilbo to a certain extent, what he's going to do tomorrow. If you were Anthony Hill, would you go test in the maybe the categories or the shuttles, the things you didn't do at the combine, or would you let it ride?
I'd probably let it ride. I guess that ultimately comes down to his representation and his family and the decision that they make. But if I'm him, I'd probably do the on-field drills, if anything, and that's kind of it. Again, I short of, I know we've had a couple of instances where after combines we found out, okay, somebody was dealing with an injury or something, and so they feel like those handful of weeks, days, or whatever it amounts to between the combine and pro day, they're able to heal up, and then that could potentially make a big difference. But short of something like that, unless you feel like you just completely bombed it, I think, most of the guys will stand on what they did, including Ant. But again, I have no clue.
Yeah, I don't either. That's also one I was asking, because we all thought, okay, Anthony Hill might move into the first round. The crazy thing about all these mocks that people keep putting out, and it's not just their opinion, they're talking to people clearly, he's actually the same or moved down a little since the combine. So I just wonder if, okay, are you cool being an early second round pick? Fine. Do you feel some pressure to go in and try to ascend a little bit more? I think that'll be interesting to see what he does. And I'm not saying he's going in the second round, but all those mocks are pretty much running aligned right now. So I know they have their opinions, but they're getting that from NFL people. It's just like these NBA mocks. It's just not people's opinion. They're talking to scouts too.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just, this, Jerry and Bobby, like sometimes it's just some guys have jumped off tape and have been not even necessarily football tape, right? Like the combine tape, they put up some times or some metrics that make them take another look. And, a lot of times those guys end up, maybe being the ones that, look like Tarzan, play like Jane, if you will. So it's not always even something that, a player has done to, quote unquote, have themselves drop. It's just teams sometimes get enamored with the thing. For all the years you've heard about the Raiders and just how they've always loved speed, right? And it doesn't really matter how good of a football player is. If a guy drops, one of the best times, then more than likely the Raiders are going to take a look. And so it can be where guys kind of push up just because a team or a coach maybe gets enamored with them, not necessarily something they do. But same thing with Anthony Hill, right? Like I think he's growing into just a good ball player, and probably he'll have even better days ahead of him as a pro. And so it'll just ultimately come down to what he, his team, his family and representation decide is best for him.
I think that he'll do some drills. I don't think he'll run. Yeah. Unless he just thinks he can run that much better. I don't see he's got his speed is not in question. Doing bench press isn't going to move a needle for anybody. Drills might, right? Drills might move a needle for him. Hey, Marcus, just some other guys I was looking up. Ahmad Hall did not in the combine. How about this one? Adrian Phillips. Not a combine invite. Yeah. How long has he been in there? Was he in the NFL post that? So it's far from a death sentence, I guess, for your football career not to go to the combine if you're one of those players who, frankly, is like Ethan Burke, a little underappreciated, maybe not the perfect, human sculpted guy that's going to break all the records, but is a really good football player. Yep. Fits that kind of mold of what you're looking for an undrafted free agent that makes an NFL team.
By the way, if I'm Ahmad Hall, you know what I'd have done for the combine? I'd have sent him all my Marines training tapes and said, I'm good. Are y'all good?
That's funny.
Did Will Matthews go to the combine? I don't know if Will went to the combine.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that. I'll have to ask him.
Yeah, that might be another one.
Yeah.
Might be another one. Yeah. Hey, Marcus, we talked a little bit about all that's going on campus, and it's hard to get away from basketball a little bit today because of all, the excitement of Saturday night was huge, I think. And then for the women to do what they did at Moody, baseball, winning the series against Auburn after losing another Friday night soul crusher. I mean, 2 Friday nights in a row, they've given up 9th inning leads, but they end up winning the series against the top 5 Auburn team, by the way. Mm-hmm. So I think that's important. You mentioned the women swimming team finishing 3rd in the country. I think the men are at it this week in Atlanta for the national championships. Look, we've talked about how Texas is flying right in that respect. I can't help but think they feed off of each other more than people even think of. I mean, they think it's good and nice, but it's almost like a healthy camaraderie and healthy competition among sports in that way. And so is that going to lift up, I don't know, some teams that haven't done as well, like women's soccer with the new coach? You hope so, but the mentality around the campus and inside those campus dorms has to be one of excellence right now. And I think that breathes life into other programs.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think back to whatever Sports Illustrated cover that was, right? That had all the different, Texas players on one side and the Stanford players on the other, kind of pointing at one another. And I think it was like Sims and TJ Ford and Mashami Robinson from our end on track and that kind of thing. We love that. And I know, it may be slightly different because they may not all be confined to some of the same type of lodging that we had back in the day, right? Some of these cats have, nice homes or in a high rise somewhere. But for the time that you're on campus and when you're around one another, you see one another, you absolutely root one another on. We used to go to the volleyball games, to the baseball games, and more times than not, I used to even party with a lot of them. So it was one of those deals where it was kind of like the rising tide that lifted all boats, and you didn't want to be the team that was left behind when everybody else was on fire. So I think, the competitive nature of the campus, the quality of coaches that we have. I thought, the clip that y'all played of Coach Schaefer was awesome. And then even, kind of hearing Rory realizing, okay, that was the last time she was going to be in the press room at Texas and that kind of deal. Those things matter. And each team, is able to see how well one another is doing, and they root for one another, and they all don't want to be kind of the weak link in the chain of the athletic program. So it's really cool to see, and then that just begets more and more attention that comes to the university, attention to all of the players, which is ultimately a fringe benefit. Even if you aren't the stud person in a particular sport, there's always going to be someone coming to look at your teammates that could then get some eyes on you. And then it helps even with, the funding of the different programs. It's a lot easier for, for alums to give a few dollars here and there when each and every program is reaping the benefits of the investment.
I think that's a great way to put it, because, Texas wants to see excellence across the board, and they're seeing it. And I think in this NIL era, what you're saying is 100% true. They want to see results, and they're seeing them. And so it reinforces that value, I think. Marcus, thank you so much. I think you put it really well. The value of a competitive campus. That's really what we were talking about. It's the value of a competitive campus across all sports. All right, man. You be good, dude. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right. Talk to y'all later. Have a good one.
All right, we'll find out if Matthews was a walk-on or was a non-invitee.
I'll text you.
All right, bud. All right. Be good, Marcus.
Marcus.
Love it. Hey, we're getting to, I want to, before we go to I know we got to do some ad reads. We got Craig Way coming up, guys, here in a minute. But Jerry and Blake, there are multiple comments in the chat that Marcus is taking us to shame over his gear, his Texas gear right now. I don't know if y'all have seen the comments.
I see everything.
Okay, they're right. We need to up our game for sure.
Well, people just have to understand. I'm wearing on Texas football stuff. That's what I'm going to wear on these shows. So, and when I dress up, it's a corn dog and mayo. If y'all somebody get a UT corn dog and send it to me.
You got the Texas hat on, Bobby.
I do. I always wear a Texas hat. That's my thing. But look, you're right. People are right. I do need to start dressing up just for Marcus. He's elevating us from our dress code here. All right. Hey, let's talk a little bit about a couple of our sponsors before we get to Craig Way. Mint Mobile, every group has someone who insists on doing things the hard way. That friend still paying for a subscription they forgot they had. That one refusing to update their phone because it still works. I used to be that person too, especially when it came to overpaying for wireless. Then I switched to Mint Mobile, and I'm so glad I did. Talk about this. It is, look, stop paying way too much for wireless just because that's the way it's always been. Mint Mobile exists purely to fix that. Same coverage, same speed, just without the inflated price tag. The premium wireless you expect, unlimited talk, text, data, but at a fraction of what others charge. And for a limited time, get 50% off 3, 6, or 12-month plans of unlimited premium wireless. Bring your own phone number, phone and number, activate with an eSIM in minutes, and start saving immediately. No long-term contracts, no hassle. If you're ready to stop paying more than you have to, new customers can make the switch today, and for a limited time, get unlimited premium wireless for just $15 a month. Switch now at mintmobile.com/ontexas. That's mintmobile.com/ontexas. It has saved me and my family a lot of money. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan is required. That equates to $15 a month. Taxes and fees are extra. Initial plan term only. Over 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device is required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. Additional terms apply. See mintmobile.com. Again, we made the switch, and it's been terrific.
Speaking of terrific, I need to tell everyone about Delete Me because they're terrific too. They make it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Look, as someone with a pretty active online presence, this stuff matters to me. We're constantly putting content out, and you don't always realize how much of your personal info is just, well, out there. Your name, your phone number, even your home address. Data brokers collect all of it and sell it like it's nothing. That's how people end up dealing with spam, phishing, or even worse. And that's why I love Delete Me. They go in and actually remove your personal information from those data broker sites so you don't have to deal with it yourself. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for OTF listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/TXFootball and use promo code TXFootball at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/TXFootball and enter code TXFootball at checkout. One more time, that's joindeleteme.com/TXFootball, code TXFootball.
You know why I chuckled at that? Because I was texting with a couple of my buddies last night, deleting A&M and Tech from the NCAA tournament. So somebody should take a picture of the Mint Mobile and DM it to Will Muschamp, because since Mint's the defense, and call him Mint Mobile.
Hey, Jerry, just briefly, who do you think is going to win this tournament? Like, I had Florida winning it. Oh, by the way, we need to update our at one time yesterday, I was
feeling it too.
I was feeling it yesterday morning. I was ranked number 1 out of like 300 plus people in the brackets, and now I think I'm down in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah,
Jerry, I think you're very close to the top in this bracket.
I'm rallying. If anybody's lost somebody they picked to go to a Final Four right now, they're in trouble.
Yeah,
I think that's the whole deal.
Yeah.
Look, I think that who's looked the best, and I've watched too much of this, honestly. Probably why my face is swollen. I haven't been exercising last week. I think Michigan looks the best. I mean, St. Louis is a really good team, and they beat the out of them in the second half. I mean, Michigan looks really good to me. Arizona, I think those two teams are going to have to play in the semi, and I think Arkansas can give Arizona HELL, John Cal and A-Cup and those guys. But I think Arizona, their strength, those bigs, the rebounding, the experience they have around it. I mean, I think Michigan or Arizona is probably the pick. I have Michigan State beating Duke and going to the Final Four. But here's a lot of reason why this tournament's been so impacted by injuries, guys. Like, Duke lost Caleb Foster. I mean, they don't really have a point guard on that team anyways, but he was their combo guard team runner. They're without him now. You see what Toppin at Tech, what that did to them when it comes to playing really good teams. Iowa State's best player, Mark Pope, man. Wow. I don't know if he's going to get fired, but if they did, it wouldn't shock me. Iowa State beat the heck out of Kentucky yesterday, and their best player's out. He's in a boot. He was on a scooter yesterday. I mean, you can go down. UCLA lost Bilodeau, their best player. And this tournament's really been impacted by injuries. So who's left standing? I mean, even Michigan lost their third guard to an ACL a few weeks ago. Who's left standing? But I think Michigan looks really good right now. I think they have the best path to the Final Four. And then once they get there, I think they're going to be tough to deal with. But anybody can win this. But this tournament's really been impacted by injuries in my mind.
So you're going Michigan, basically?
I think Michigan. I will say this. too. By the way, I'd said all season, because it's just in the research of this. It's pretty simple. First-year coaches at their new schools are not guaranteed to make the NCAA tournament. I think there were 14 high major coaches this year, new coaches of the school. 7 made the tournament and 7 didn't. The only 2 left standing are Sean Miller and Ben McCallum. McCallum, who's a great, bright mind in basketball, beat another great young mind in basketball, Florida, last night. It's hard to repeat. They got him 73-72. But Ben McCallum,
he's at Iowa.
He's at Iowa. Yeah, he's at Iowa. He's had to come up through the D3 ranks, then to Drake, then to Iowa, brought a bunch of his team with him year one, which really helps. So him and Sean Miller are the last 2 first-year coaches at their school standing, that Sean Miller's, by the way, is the first coach at Texas to lead the team to the Sweet 16 in his first year. Some people say, well, what about RT? Well, Beard was the head coach and Rodney was the interim, so that's not going to count. That's where I think it's headed. I think Michigan looks really good. I think Arizona can play should play Michigan if they keep doing their thing to get to the national championship game. I think the interesting one's U of H because they're in Houston this weekend. I actually picked Illinois to go to the Final Four out of that region. I don't know if I'll be right. You'd probably rather be on the other side playing Iowa like Nebraska is than playing U of H in this game right now. But that's going to be very pro U of H crowd for Kelvin Sampson. I think Illinois is pretty good. I think what's also shown in this tournament, the Big Ten top 5-6 teams are tremendous. I mean, you think they have 6 teams in the Sweet 16. 6. The SEC has 4. We had kind of said on here the ACC was down this year. Outside of Duke, they've also been impacted by injuries in the ACC. But one out of 8 teams. Think back to the ACC days in the 90s, early 2000s. They dominated the whole thing. Now it's the Big Ten's top group. I mean, Michigan, Michigan State, Illinois, Nebraska. Ben McCallum's a great coach at Iowa. I mean, just look at 6 teams in the Sweet 16, 4 for the SEC. Those 2 conferences are rising to the top of college basketball. I think the SEC has better 1 through 16 depth. The Big Ten is better at the top, and I think that's shown in the tournament.
Hey, Jerry, how does Texas match up against Purdue? This is a super chat carry.
Look, Purdue's a better basketball team. You can look at the analytics, you can look at the season, but Purdue has to be better Thursday too. So I think there's a couple of things. But one thing I like for Texas is Sean Miller has 4 days to prepare for Painter. Painter is a tremendous offensive coach. They run as many sets as anybody in college basketball. Their zoom actions with Braden Smith at the top of the key are really difficult. Their zoom actions with Fletcher Lawyer are really difficult to defend. Trey Kaufman-Wren, the 6'9" power forward, I think a big key in this game for Texas defensively. You can't let him catch it at 6 or 7 feet. He's a big, powerful guy, but he's not going to power dunk on you. All he's going to do is catch and shoot a 70% make, half jump hook, half push shot over you. You have to be able to push him out the 10 to 12 feet in this game. You can't let him operate at 6 or 7 feet. It's too high percentage of a shot that he makes all season long from there. And then, look, I think defensively, neither team is really good. Purdue gives up 44.6 from the field on the season. Texas is 44.7. Purdue, like Gonzaga, does not play ball pressure defense. That favors Texas. I think Texas is going to need to make 6 or 7 threes in this game. Purdue makes 9.5 about it per game on the season. From an analytics standpoint, you don't want to look up with 2 minutes to go and they have 9 or 10 and you have 3 or 4. That's probably not good for your scoreboard. And I think a big thing for Texas in this game, how many minutes can Matas and Cody play together? Now that the game started to slow down for Cody, he played really well against Gonzaga. They're going to need to play 2 bigs at the same time against Clough and Kaufman-Wren at Purdue. So that's, I think, defensively for Texas. But I like having 4 days to work on guarding all those actions for Purdue because they're really, really – Matt Painter's really good on offense. Then on for Texas offensively. Gonzaga had some guys. Tyron Grant Foster is a really good wing defender, a really good wing shot challenger blocker. He's a really good defensive player. Gonzaga had more perimeter height length than even Purdue will have. Braden Smith's 5'11 and a half. They'll try to hide him a little on defense, I think. Lawyer's 6'5", but not an athletic 6'5". Not necessarily a long arm 6'5". That joker can shoot the heck out of the ball, though. CJ Cox is 6'3". Gonzaga had more height, length, switchability on defense than Purdue. So I'm interested to see Dalen Swain when he's playing wing, will have a pretty good 4 or 5 inch height advantage on guys. I think Tremont Mark may be easier for him to get to his mid-range looks he likes against Purdue versus Gonzaga. So I think there's a lot of things that are going to play into this. No two teams are alike. Purdue's the better team, and I think that's easy to say, but Purdue's got to be better Thursday. I mean, the one thing about these games is if Texas can get this thing, just like Gonzaga, if you can get it to that 5-6 minute mark, who feels the pressure? It's not Texas. It's Purdue. I mean, that's the whole deal in these tournaments is, watching these tournaments about anywhere from the 12 to 8 minute mark, the better teams normally pulls away. They're up 10, 12, 14. And then you have to fight and scratch and claw to get it back to 6 and 8 and feel like you're in it with 2 minutes to go. I think a big deal in this game. Texas needs to keep this thing. And I'm not saying they can't be up with 6 minutes to go. You never know how a game's going to go. But let's say Purdue's playing well and you're playing well. They're probably going to be up a little bit. Keep it within 5 or 6 at that 6-7 minute mark and see what happens, because those teams do start feeling the pressure. Anybody that's watched the tournament over the years knows that. I think Texas has a shot. If Purdue plays their best and Texas plays their best, Purdue's going to win the game now. They're a better team, but that doesn't mean they're going to be better Thursday.
That's right. That's why they tip it off, baby. That's why they roll the ball out there. Hey, we got Craig Way coming up here in a couple minutes. Excited for him to join us as well. We need to do a couple of ad reads here. Let's get going. I'll talk about Hollow, and then I've got some more football stuff I want to talk about as well here. Talk about Hollow socks, lightweight, supportive, and unbelievably soft. They're 3 times warmer than wool and still lightweight. How is that possible? Warmer than wool, yet still lightweight? They're alpaca socks built for the field. These are performance-grade socks made from ultra-soft baby alpaca fibers engineered for rugged conditions and designed to keep your feet dry, warm, and comfortable no matter where the day takes you. Hollow doesn't just make socks for the outdoors. They've engineered them for every activity. Soft, breathable comfort for daily wear, travel, or downtime, for gradual compression comfort to keep your legs comfortable during travel, recovery, or your everyday on your feet. Perfect for long shifts and 14-hour days in boots, giving your legs the support they need after the grind. Anywhere and everywhere, that's Hollow Socks. For a limited time, Hollow Socks is having a buy 2, get 2 free sale. Head to hollowsocks.com today to check it out. That's hollowsocks.com for up to 50% off your order. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. You can support our show by telling them that we sent you here at On Texas Football. Got to be honest, I actually just went back and bought another few pairs because I like mine so much right now. Hollowsocks.com for up to 50% off your order. Buy 2, get 2 free sale now.
And I'm going to tell everyone this morning about Square, because support for today's episode of Coffee and Football comes from Square, which, honestly, if you've ever paid at a food truck or a coffee shop or a local store and the checkout took like 2 seconds, there's a good chance you've already used it. I see it all the time. You walk up, you grab your coffee or whatever, tap your card or phone, boom, done. No weird register problems, no digging around for change, no waiting forever while someone figures out the system. That's because Square basically puts everything a business needs in one place. Payments, point of sale, inventory tracking, customer tools, even setting up an online store if you want to sell stuff on the internet. It's simple, it looks clean, and businesses can actually focus on customers instead of fighting with tech. And the cool part is Square works whether you're just starting out or if you're running multiple locations. And right now, listeners can get up to $200 off Square hardware when you sign up at square.com/go/ontexas. That's Square, SQUARE.com/GO/ontexas. Run your business smarter with Square and get started today.
Jerry,
hey guys.
I notice you're in your car, my man.
Yeah.
That means you're on the road. So where are you on the road at right now? People are a little interested.
I tried to get a special guest on this morning, by the way. I'm in Baton Rouge, and it just so happened Not my plan. I'm staying 500 feet from Lane Kiffin's yoga studio. And I actually drove over there this morning to see if we could get Lane on the show, but he wasn't there. Just so happens that Yoga Lattes is where he goes in Baton Rouge, and I'm literally staying 500, 600, 700 feet from that. So I was hoping to get Lane on to wish Stark a happy birthday, but that didn't happen. Or just to wish OTF all the best, but that didn't happen. So I'm gonna go see Easton Royal later today, and then we'll see where it takes me after that. But I don't think my road trip's finished.
Little wide receiver action.
Can you imagine? I was gonna surprise you, Bobby and Blake. I was just gonna have Lane Kiffin pop on here with no warning. It would have been hilarious.
That would have been awesome. Hey, well, I know you had a player, an out-of-state player that you wanted to talk about this morning, so I'm going to bring up his film and let you do so.
Yeah, big visitor. There's going to be a few visitors trickle through this. Ryan Rodriguez says Oklahoma says Seneca Driver's the number one tight end. He's a really good player. He was probably the number one tight end they could get in on, but he's a really good player.
Hey, I wanted to bring up two things while we wait on Craig to join us this morning. Number one, good talker us here. He's always in the chat every morning with us. He says, my youngest boy's turning 5. I asked him what kind of birthday he wants. A Texas birthday, Dad, is what he responded.
What's the youngest y'all have ever seen a kid like do the hook 'em horns? Like 2?
Yeah, ish, 1.5.
Yeah. Good job, Russ. Good job, Russ.
Happy early birthday to your son.
Yes. Teach him early. Bring him up right. That's how we do it.
And then I also wanted to give a shout out to Chris Bennett. He always joins every day as well right here on Texas Football. And he actually sent this in. This was the magazine cover that Marcus was talking about. So appreciate that, Chris. Appreciate all of y'all for when y'all help us out in the chat.
Is that Chris Sims? I'm trying to figure out. Chris Sims and Teo Johnson are the two football players. Teo is the Stanford football player. That's Cat. Yeah, I can. Is that TJ?
TJ Cat, and then was it Robinson? From track. Yeah.
Yep. Gotcha. Good stuff. Hey, Craig says he's about to join us. I want to play that track that we opened this with.
Oh yeah.
Today one more time before Craig joins us, just to give people a feel for what he was able to pull off, because look, Craig's brought a lot of great moments, in my opinion, to Texas fans through the years. Everybody recalls the 2005 Rose Bowl and what he did there. But this is I texted him early Sunday morning and I said, Craig, you did a really good job on that one last night in the Sweet 16. Could you play that one more time before we get him on here?
I can definitely do that, and his audio will kick in just a second here.
Tremont Mark, 10 to shoot, driving baseline, works it back around into the corner, 6 to shoot in the corner. Cam Heide at 3. Good! It's good! 14 seconds to go. Texas up 4. Into the front court. St. Superi launches a long 3. Short, off the rim. Rebound, Texas. It's going to happen, folks. It is going to happen. Modest Fokatitis lays it in. That'll do it. An 11 seed has crashed the Sweet 16 party. It's the Texas Longhorns. Final score, Texas 74, Gonzaga 68, San Jose, the next step on this Longhorn postseason saga.
There we go. Let's bring him in now, if we don't mind, Blake. Craig Way, I think you're checking in from. Are you actually in your house, or are you in another hotel room somewhere? You're always on the road this time of year.
I had to take a close look this morning, Bob. I had to make sure that I was actually sleeping in my own bed in my house. I was. So, I'm not in a hotel room. It's good to be back at the ATX at least for about 48 hours anyway. Well, now about 36 hours.
I was going to say, it is that time of year where baseball, basketball, men's, women's, your head's spinning. And I'm glad I'm not your travel agent. I'll put it that way.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll give credit to Anthony Travel, which is UT's athletic travel agent. They've been a good job. And it's a combination, and you know how this works, Bobby. It's a combination of the team charter when you're on that, coupled with what the travel agent has to do to get you back and forth to places. So for example, this week, it really started a little over a week ago, after the Longhorn men were eliminated in the SEC tournament by Ole Miss, and that seems like a decade ago now.
Yes.
The team returned home. I had already committed to working for the SEC radio network the rest of the tournament. So I ended up working, calling 2 of the quarterfinal games, both of the semifinal games, and the championship game with Tony Delk, the former Kentucky All-American. So we did the rest of the SEC tournament on the SEC radio network from Learfield. And then I went to the airport. Was able to watch the Selection Sunday show and see that the Longhorns ran and that the Texas women were going to be the 1 seed and hosting. And so then it was just a matter of flying home. Nothing is simple these days, especially when it comes to spring break. So between then and 8 o'clock the next morning, I had 3 flights cancel on me. So I zipped over to a hotel and got a few hours sleep, went back to the airport, finally got home, but it was too late for me to fly north with the team on the charter to Dayton. So then it was back. I actually got a chance to go home and do some laundry. So I did that and dump out one bag and get the other bag packed. And then I was out again at 6 o'clock the next morning to fly to Dayton. So fly to nonstop. I get to Dayton, do the game, and then everybody I think has heard the saga, what happened after that. And then you're supposed to go, out to Portland, and the entire team and travel party all go out to the airport over by the charter terminal, and basically wind up waiting in a hangar for about 2.5 hours until the NCAA's travel partner got a plane out there. At one point, I know Sean Miller was talking to an NCAA rep and going, all right, you had 2 winners, Howard and Texas. Those were the only teams that had to travel tonight. How could you not get a plane here in time? Because Howard they were able to get them over to Buffalo, and it took a while. So then it took off about 3:30 Eastern time in the morning. We landed, it was a 4-hour flight, landed in Portland at 5:30 in the morning or close to that Pacific time. And so by the time they got to the hotel, it was close to 6 a.m. Pacific time. Guys were able to sleep for a little bit. They got them up, got them over to the arena. Then they had the shoot around, the open practice and the press conference, and they go back, get some sleep. The next day, of course, is the game. They play the game, they win the game, and after beating BYU, then we go back. I'd driven straight to the airport straight to the arena, because when the game was over, then I went to the airport then, and then I got a red eye home. And took the red eye home, and then after landing that, of course, the women played Friday afternoon, did that game, went back to the airport, hustled back over. They were supposed to be on a 6:30 flight to get me back to Portland by 11. That flight got canceled. So I did what I did earlier today, came home, did some laundry, laid down for about 3 hours, got up, went back to the airport, and flew out on a nonstop on Saturday morning. That got me to Portland by 9:30 in the morning. And so I was back in plenty of time, do the game on Saturday evening or afternoon there, Pacific time, and then go. And then it was a pretty smooth charter thing with the team. The plane was there when it was supposed to be. Got home about 4 o'clock in the morning yesterday, got home, got a few hours sleep, went up, went down to Moody, did the women's second round game. So, here it is, a kind of quote unquote regular Monday. I don't know what to do with myself today.
Now, and by the way, Craig does a daily radio show.
I do have that. That's right. This afternoon at 2 o'clock. I got to do that. So I'm glad you reminded me.
Hey, Craig, I don't know why, but that whole traveling segment reminded me. That whole traveling segment reminded me of the Cleveland Indians on the movie Major League. But yeah, the lady was trying to
I'm missing. I'm not hearing Jerry for some reason, so you'll have to translate for me.
Okay.
Something may be going on. Can you hear us okay, though, Craig? Now?
I hear you fine.
Okay, gotcha. Hey, he said it reminded him of the travel scene in Major League, is what he was talking about. Hey, Craig, I got to say this: the call, and we played it. We played it a couple times for Longhorn Radio Network and what you do for them and whatnot. Just a tremendous call again. Like, I got to ask you this. Are you preparing in your brain for something to happen, or is it just become so core to who you are that it's just automatic for you to make calls like that? Because I told folks, I texted you on Sunday morning when I first heard the call because I was watching the TV. I said, Craig, that was a great call. When do you come up with, I mean, are some of them just magical and some of them not? Just it kind of meets the moment. What you've done a couple times in your career at Texas is rare for anybody, but you've done it more than once. Just give us your thoughts on how you even think about that or go into that.
Well, you've known me long enough to know, and this probably, it goes back at least into the 90s, but I can tell you even probably back into the 80s that I learned a long time ago on my own. And you have some hints and stuff from people. Brad Sham was my boss for 7 years, and the great late Bill Mercer was my original broadcast mentor. But the one thing I learned on my own, as well as from them guys, if it doesn't sound authentic or organic, then you're just making a mistake. And I learned a lot of time, if I planned to say anything like that, I would either mess it up, stumble, say something dumb, or it just wouldn't sound right. And so I learned and decided a long time ago that it needed to be just whatever happened in the moment. Now, I'll tell you something that I know that you and Jerry will appreciate so much because of your backgrounds and what you've done. I got asked a lot about the say goodnight to this one thing with football and baseball. That's never been planned, but it does have a root. It does have a basis, and this is where you guys come in. There was a recruit, a really good high school football player, and I think you guys will remember him. He was back in the 80s. He played for Spruce High in Dallas. His name was Carl Richardson. He wound up going to Miami, and he played at Miami. He played for Spruce, and they were playing Mesquite, and this was on a Friday night at old Forrester Field there on the east side of Dallas, and I was doing the game on KRLD. We started doing a high school game of the week back in the 80s, and they had run what basically we would call today a fly sweep or a jet sweep. And back in those days, you said end around a lot, or some people would say reverse or this or that, whatever. And he had already taken one and went 80 yards for a touchdown. And it was really pretty cool. And it was early in the second quarter. Well, then they force a punt, and it might have been a little bit after that. It might have been a couple of possessions, but in any event, they get the ball back. They run the same play and for about a 56-yard touchdown. And you could see right when he burst through the hole, the doors open wide open for him. And it just came out to say goodnight to this one, because forget it, he's gone, that kind of thing. And that's where that started from. I never planned to say it. I never planned to say it in football. I never planned to say it in baseball. But like, for example, in baseball, if it's going out, you can tell it, and then it all of a sudden lands in my head, say goodnight to it. It's gone. Same thing with football. If it's a long pass or the Arch Manning run against Michigan in the Citrus Bowl, you can just see it. You just like seeing the C's part, and then it occurs to you to say it. So that's an example of that. And then anything else like the Cam Heide shot or the Tremont Mark shot. I got lucky on both of those because they both happened right in front of me. Sometimes in the NCAA tournament or wherever, or conference room, it's way down at the other end of the floor. I think some folks know this. The Vince Young 4th and 5 call when he goes in the end zone, I'm at one end of the press box, and the end zone where he runs into is at the other end. So I'm leaning out the window, looking down the field when I said the all the hopes, all the dreams, and all that stuff. And again, that's just coming to me in the moment there. I learned if it's not organic, at least in my case, it won't sound authentic like it really happened.
Hey, Craig, can you hear me now by chance? He can't for whatever reason. Okay, I need you guys to relay this. Well, 2 questions. 1, did he find his favorite food spot in Portland? And 2, just covering the NCAA tournaments. For people who have never been to an NCAA tournament, what's that like?
Hey, Craig, question is favorite food spot in Portland, if you had time to eat actually in between making all those flights. And then also, what's it like covering the NCAA tournament? Jerry has said that he thinks it's the best college sporting event there is. What's that been like for you through the years?
There's two restaurants in Portland. One I've forgotten the name of because I didn't get to make it there this year, but it's out on the west side of town. Very old school. It almost kind of, and you guys can appreciate this, it's almost kind of like some of the places in Omaha, old school,
Okay.
old style family restaurants. There's another one, there's a diner that's over that way near the airport called Elmer's. And it's also there. I discovered that when I was getting broadcast charts print. See, the other key to my creation, fellas, is finding where the most convenient Office Depot is that can print out my broadcast charts. One that's really good and can do it. And I found one in Portland when I was there for the women's Sweet 16 in the Elite Eight 2 years ago, off of Halsey Street. And Elmer's Diner is like at Halsey or near 102nd and 205. So I discovered some of these places by accident. And to Jerry's point about the tournament, it's incredible. I've always said, because when people ask me, hey, what do you like calling best? I said the cop-out answer, and it is, but it's rooted in truth, is whatever's in season at the time, mainly because I'm mentally, physiologically, encased in that moment, in that part of the season. When it's early September and the Longhorns are hosting Ohio State, that sort of thing, there's no place on earth I'd rather be. It just makes perfect sense. In Omaha, it's its own unique creature. It's a 2-week, a fortnight that slowly unfolds over time. And the biggest key, other than calling the games and hoping that it works out for the Longhorns, is to find, somebody said it was like Groundhog Day. You get up in the morning, you go to the ballpark, there's a game, then you go to either an Italian restaurant, a steakhouse, or an Italian steakhouse, and you do dinner there, and you get up the next day and you do it all over again, and you do this for 2 weeks, as long as the team's going. So that's its own unique thing. And then the NCAA tournament, there's something, when you hear people at baseball games, and I feel the same way, talk about the freshly cut grass and all this stuff and how the ballpark appeals to you. Same thing in the Final Four with that brand new squeaky clean floor that you're walking onto. And it's true for the first four in Dayton, as well as now going to San Jose for the Sweet 16, or even when Texas has been in the Final Four. It's its own unique event. And by the way, in Dayton is kind of like in Omaha, how the city wraps its arms around that event. It means an awful lot in Dayton as well, and they do a good job. I've also done it there for Westwood One for national radio, as well as Texas here. Now, having said that, you like to avoid Dayton if you can. It reminds me when what is now, I guess it's the Armed Services Bowl in Fort Worth, when it first was introduced as the Fort Worth Bowl, and the guy was running it asked Mac Brown to hop on. Would you speak at the deal? And Mac said, "I'll do that, but you understand, if we're in that bowl game, it means I've been fired." So it's that Texas would rather avoid Dayton, but now that they've had some success with it, that's a good thing too. But yes, the basketball tournament is its own unique creature. And I love all of those three premier events, whether they're bowl games, the playoff in college football, or the College World Series, or regionals or super regionals like that postseason feel. There's something special about it.
Hey, Craig, I know you've been very generous with your time. Thanks for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it. And I know Texas fans out there enjoy you, and they appreciate you coming on as well. A question for you, Steve Sarkeesian, year 6. Texas was you were the broadcaster for 10 years, where Texas was kind of, I don't want to say the wasteland, but they were in the hinterlands. They were not necessarily a focal point of national prominence for about 10 years. That's not the case now. Steve Sarkeesian's firmly entrenched Texas in that kind of talk with 3 consecutive 10-win seasons. What is it that you see with Sark and what he's done at Texas? If there's some specifics that you would could point to, because like me, you've been through them all just about in the last 30 years. Your thoughts?
I think you're spot on with that, and the phrase that I've heard often ascribed to that 10-year period you refer to is wandering in the wilderness, as they were trying to find their way. And I will say this, give credit to what the athletic department tried to do in terms of trying to find the right guy, and in all cases, I think they thought that they had it. First with Charlie Strong, and remember when Tom Herman came in, everybody said it's the perfect hire. With what he's done, he's star on the rise and all that. And for whatever reasons, those didn't work out. And I think the thinking outside the box when it came to CDC and the command center, the brain trust of trying to figure out what they wanted to do, was that maybe it has to be somewhere beyond that scope, but someone who has coached, who's had success, who also has been around one of the great football minds of all time in college football, in Nick Saban. And I think that's, all of that fed into bringing Sark in. And the one thing I noticed right from the outset with Sark, just like with all the other coaches, everybody had a plan. And then, of course, the old Mike Tyson thing about everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. But he had a plan beyond getting punched in the mouth. He knew it was going to take some time. He said it was going to take some time from the start. And I never, ever have seen him waver or get really, rattled about what was going on during the course of a season. And I did see it in the other coaches. And I didn't see that from him. He's never strayed from the plan and figured it would always work out and get the right people in positions to make those decisions and make those calls. And he's never stopped believing in the plan and in his own skill set as well to make sure this program took the steps forward that it needs to take. And like I said, he's had it on the track. He's got a vision for it. And that's the biggest difference in what I see. A lot of that, as you guys know better than anybody else on this planet, it's about, the old thing when the former Baylor assistant coach would do an interview with me before Texas would play Baylor, because Scott Drew didn't want to do it. So I would do it with Matt Driscoll. And he would always say that old tried and true phrase, well, Craig, it's not about the X's and O's, it's about the Jimmies and Joes. And it was getting those Jimmies and Joes in there. And Sark's been able to do that, plus mixed with his formula, his direction, his leadership. And I think all of that is what adds up to why this program is headed in the direction it's headed.
How about this for 2026, Craig? How about you get ready to have another memorable call on this Texas football team in 2026? Start working on it now, baby.
No. If I start working, I'll screw it up, Bobby. I can't do that. I just have to let it wash over me. What's that scene in Step Brothers where one of them's laying in the ditch and there are several says, just let it wash over you. That because sometimes I feel like I've been hit by a shovel, but it's good. I'll be ready for it. Hopefully, whatever it is, and looking forward to it.
All right, take care. That's Craig Way, voice of the Longhorns, long-term friend of mine as well. Craig, thanks for your friendship. Thanks for stopping by this morning, buddy.
Thank you, Jerry, Blake, and Bobby. Great to see you as always. Thanks.
All right, hook 'em, buddy. Take care. It's Craig Way. Legend, Craig Way, good stuff from him. He had a tremendous call. We played that a couple times in this show. Just consummate professional. You hear about how he has to go all of those different places, man. I've always wondered how he manages that. I mean, back and forth to Portland. Like, I have problems going back and forth to the refrigerator. I mean, he goes back and forth to Portland. I mean, it takes me some effort to get off the couch.
I was just going to say, he just had the dream segment. He couldn't hear me.
There's some truth to that. There's some truth to that. All right, that's going to do it for today's Coffee and Football. I want to say thank you to one of our key sponsors. That is John Donovan, President, Longhorn Wealth Management Group. John's a proud Texas Exes Life member who served on the Dallas Texas Exes board for 15 years and now helps lead and support the Collin County Exes chapter while also consistently serving his Longhorns, fellow Longhorns, as a certified financial planner and as founder of Longhorn Wealth Management. John and the Longhorn Wealth team were thrilled recently to be recognized as a member of the Longhorn 100, a list of the 100 fastest growing companies in the world, founded, owned, or led by UT alums. This great honor is bestowed by the Texas Exes each year. And in celebration of receiving this great recognition, John's offering all OTF fans a free private financial consultation to learn how a CFP like John can help you maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and ensure your legacy. To schedule a free private consultation today with John, call the Longhorn Wealth team, 972-707-4900, or schedule online, www.longhornwealth.net. John sends a huge Longhorn 100 hook 'em to all of the OTF family. Blake, before we let folks go, I want to make sure they know about something coming up in the Dallas area. If you're in the Dallas area, the Dallas Texas Exes chapter is going to have their 100th year anniversary this year. So they're celebrating it with a special spring fling of sorts, April 12th. That's a Sunday. It's over at Happiest Hour in downtown Dallas. That's where they did the preseason meetup last year. Jerry, you and I were, I was a part of that. I think Rob was also a part of it. But this year, there's going to be guests on April 12th, like Vince Young's going to be there. CDC will be there. I think a dozen or so former football players. Jerry, you, me, and Rod will be there as well, talking a little bit. So please, if you want to look into it, check out the Dallas Texas Exes chapter. I think they've combined to actually give away hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarships through the years. Just a tremendous organization supporting kids in not only Dallas, but now Collin County too. I'm told they're working together a lot. So that's a great thing.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football, presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. We want to thank John, along with Delete Me, Mint Mobile, Hollow, and Square, for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. Bobby, what's later today?
We've got a couple different things coming up today, including articles. Hank's House already written a couple. He came up with a couple of big name guys that were undrafted free agents, Jerry. Or no, excuse me, that were not combine invites. Did you know Tyreek Hill was not a combine invite? Antonio Gates, one of the best tight ends of all time, not a combine invite.
Yeah,
some good names. But we got stuff there. We've also got a couple of more videos here. Then we have the live stream later tonight. I'll be at the Pro Day tomorrow morning. It starts in the afternoon, but I'll be there early. Also have some stuff coming up with that as well. But Texas restarts football practice tomorrow morning. So we'll have more from that as well. That's going to do it for today's edition, Blake.
Yeah, I also want to give a shout out to Kevin here. He just dropped this in the chat. Been unemployed 7 months, finally got a job. I want to thank OTF for getting me through every day. So congratulations, Kevin, and thanks for tuning in with us every day.
That's great, man. Congratulations, dude.
Definitely. Well, we will be back same time, same place tomorrow morning. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.
Hook 'em.